Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow in the studio. Happy to have you join us. Fun day of racing today down in New York. We'll see how the weather plays out down there. But we're the in-between of Triple Crown races. Rodriguez is out. If you didn't see the news, the foot issue is still there. So Rodriguez is out. But looks like a fun field. Unfortunately, Sovereignty not going to be in the mix, so he won't have a shot at a Triple Crown this year. But hey, if journalism shows up and wins and we get a rematch of journalism and Sovereignty and the Belmont Stakes up the Northway at Saratoga, that will certainly be an exciting event for the Belmont Stakes. So things, the level of excitement does not go down once the Triple Crown starts. And we'll talk a little bit about the Triple Crown in a minute. But a little bit later on, we'll also talk some Monmouth because it is opening day at Monmouth. We'll have Matt Dinerman on to talk a little setup of the meet and also maybe take a look at today's stakes race, the Long Branch. A little bit later on, our friend Kim Weir will join us for a few minutes towards the end of the show. Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga, part of a national effort on this Mental Health Awareness Month of May. There's a kind of a national effort to talk about how horses play into therapy for humans. So we'll do that a little bit, as I say, towards the end of the show. But again, we're the in-between week, Kentucky Derby and Preakness. But it was a big weekend last weekend, so I thought we would continue to talk a little Derby and Oaks weekend with Mike MacAdam. He was in town down in Louisville for the Daily Gazette. Mike, good morning.
Morning, Seth. How are you today?
Very good. Happy to have you on board. And before we
happy to be here.
Before we talk specifically about last week, I went to your Twitter feed, and you were with the Derby winner this morning.
Yeah, we went up to see if we can get some photos. We got there a little late, a little after 7. He had already been on the track, just stretching his legs a little bit. But we got a photo with Irma Scott, Bill Mott's longtime groom and hot walker, feeding him a carrot in the shed row. So, and by all accounts from Bill Mott, he's settled in beautifully up in Saratoga. I did ask him, is there any sort of breeze game plan for him, now that he's skipping the Preakness and going straight to the Belmont? And Bill just kind of looked up into the heavens and raised his hands because it was starting to drizzle again, and it's gonna depend on the track conditions. So I don't know if he'll breeze next weekend or not, but the weather will kind of make that call, as it always does.
And yeah, it has been rainy. I'm waiting for a little sun, but according to the forecast,
I don't know what the sun looks like anymore.
Yeah, no, I was, as I'm driving in yesterday down the Northway in the crazy rain, I thought, man, give me some sun. But I think tomorrow's supposed to be all right. We have our fingers crossed. And for folks who aren't familiar, because this year, and I meant to look it up before, I think if you probably go to the NYRA Saratoga site, the press release will be there. But maybe a week or so ago, NYRA said they're extending the hours on the Oklahoma track. You there, as a member of the press, go often and talk a little bit about the morning's Saratoga, even before the meet. People may not realize that. You can go up and watch the horses work out now. They arrive in April and don't leave until late October or November. Talk a little bit about the experience on the Oklahoma track.
Yeah, currently, so I believe that the training hours have been extended to like 6 or, once we get into the meet, it'll be like 5:30 when they open up the tracks. They are training on the main track as of a couple days ago right now. But as far as a spectator standpoint, NYRA extended the number of days. So you can pretty much go up there, I think, any day that they're, Wednesday through Sunday. And, the current hours are 7 to 10. You can't drive your car into the grounds on the Oklahoma, but there's plenty of space to park right on East Avenue. And you just walk through the gate there. And they have that beautiful Whitney viewing stand, which is up from the finish hole at the Oklahoma. You can hang out there, or you can hang out by the rail. I will say that one of the new things at the Oklahoma is they built they tore down the clocker stand back there, as well as that little viewing stand that they had. And so they have a brand new building with windows and stuff for the clockers, which I'm sure they'll appreciate. Although, it's at ground level. It used to be kind of elevated, give you a better view of the backstretch. And they also have a little kind of pavilion thing where they used to have that little viewing stand there. So there's a couple new things if you go back there. I got to think the clockers are going to be grumbling about this nice new building, though, where they're enclosed and out of the rain, just because it's ground level. They used to be 6-7 feet up, where you'd be able to, kind of keep track of things a little better. So that's kind of something new you can see back at the Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, and while you're talking, I did pull it up. Folks can pull up the press release. He came out a few weeks ago, expended hours, Oklahoma. And as you say, currently Wednesday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And the hours will change as we get to Belmont Stakes Week and then the regular meet as well. But keep that in mind if you'd like to go up. And again, you can go to the NYRA website, click on the Saratoga portion of that, and then news, and that press release is there if you'd like more information. All right, let's.
Guess what? If you go there now, you might see the Kentucky Derby winner jogging by.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the fun of heading up and being there in the mornings. You never know who might be out there on the track. Let's go back now last weekend, and before we get into some specifics, just give us a little overview. First, I went to your Twitter feed yesterday, pulled up. You had a nice bird's eye view of the Kentucky Derby. It looked like maybe down in the winner's circle area for the finish of the race with Sovereignty. I was very happy. I've been on Sovereignty for a few weeks now, so it was a nice result there. Journalism, a good second. Third and fourth place finishers also were kind of impressive there with Baeza and Final Gambit came from way out of it to run very well. Sandman maybe a little bit disappointing, but we'll get to the specifics of that race in a minute. Just give us a little overview. Had Steve Bick on last Sunday, and I'll tell you, watching on the feed and NBC, obviously it wasn't a nice day necessarily. It didn't look horrible though. Obviously the track was off. But Bick said, it was not a nice day. He said both days, it was rainy and kind of cool. But, I guess you get 100,000+ people. They're going to make the most of it anyway. Just give a little overview of the Oaks Derby weekend.
Yeah, Oaks Day was actually a little worse weather-wise than the Derby. But still, the Derby, it was like a leaky faucet all day. It would start and stop, and it just seemed like it would never go away. The good thing was our friend Gene Kirshner from the Buffalo News, he and I drove down together from Buffalo. And on Derby Day, we moved on there to about a half an hour to post time. I didn't do the walkover. This is my fifth Derby. I've done the walkover every year. And this time I said, I'm skipping it just because, even though I had my hiking shoes on. But we went down and we got our spot on the rail, kind of up, between the 16th pole and the finish line. And after the race, I went on the track just to get some photos and stuff like that. And it was pretty soupy and muddy and everything. The good thing though is when we went down there half an hour before, it did not rain at all. It was still, the track was still wet, and it might have started raining again later, but we got lucky that little window when we were actually outside, down on the rail there. It was not raining at all during the race before or during the race, which was good. One thing you lose is it's kind of hard to watch the race because they have a beautiful infield video board there. But, it's kind of hard to keep track of who's who out there. And I had picked Burnham Square in the paper, and I was just kind of keeping track of his chiclet. He was going backwards and looked like he might finish in last place. So I was like, okay, that's a lost cause. I'll just concentrate on what happens when they come by us at the finish. And he wound up a pretty good sixth. I guess he kind of got checked on the second turn. And so that was kind of strange. I bailed out on him, and then he wound up, a pretty good sixth. So moving forward, I kind of keep an eye on him a little bit. And then the finish happens, and it was a tremendous race. One thing that was cool was, there's been some weird, funky things happening in the Derby the last, 5 or 6 years. And this year was just a clean, really good race. and, the good horses showed up. You had a really engaging, duel between the top two. And, so it kind of played out the way you wanted it to, which was nice.
I'm glad you mentioned Burnham Square because he is worth a mention, and people can go back and watch. And I do some little videos for social media, and one of them this week kind of focused on the trip. It focused on a number of trips, but one of them was Burnham Square. And if you watch on the backstretch, he's in a great spot. Burnham Square, sitting on the rail and kind of saving ground. But then one of the Japanese horses, Admire Daytona, is just on the outside of him and gets in front and cuts in front, at which point Burnham Square has to slow up a little bit. But then Admire Daytona is done and kind of backs up.
Right.
And so Burnham Square immediately loses another 3 or 4 lengths. And so I agree. His finish makes him very intriguing going forward. But a 104 for Sovereignty. And talk a little bit about, were you back at the barn the next day, and was there already buzz about, we're not too sure about the Preakness?
No, we actually hit the road right after we filed Saturday night so we can get some of the drive over with. So we stayed in Cincinnati that night. I will say that the comments immediately after the race, it didn't sound like the Preakness was in play.
Oh, okay.
The thing is that I was
that's
mentioning
soon. They were already kind of
well, they didn't say that, but you could kind of read between the lines a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think because they did. To their credit, they did come out very quickly and say, yeah, we're not going to the Preakness, so that people aren't hanging by their fingernails wondering what's going to happen. But when I talked to Bill Mott this morning, they pretty much knew they weren't going to go to the Preakness on Derby Day. But the thing is, you don't want to blab that on Derby Day and kind of spoil the parade a little bit, But, when these things happen, usually they kind of hem and haw for a week and say, well, we want to see how the horse looks. And they weren't messing around. They came right out whatever it was, Sunday or Monday, and said, nah, no Preakness. So I'm pretty sure they knew on Derby Day they weren't going to go Preakness. But if you don't have to say that at that time, then don't say it because it's going to kind of put a damper on everything.
Yeah, you're right. That takes the air out of the balloon a little bit, but it's good the next day or maybe Monday that you get it out there so people aren't, it's a done deal. And but it's going to be interesting. Mike, and I don't know where you sit as far as, social media has been ablaze and kind of the cacophony of it that it got to me. Because it's like standing at a dinner party with 12 people and the first person says, well, who's questioning Bill Mott? Who knows better than Bill Mott? And then the next guy says, well, they have to change the timing of the Triple Crown. And then the next guy says, but who's questioning Bill Mott? And then the fourth guy says they should change the Triple Crown. And that's what Twitter was like. After about the fifth person says exactly the same thing, you're like, all right, I got it. But I can get why people were debating it. At the Triple Crown series, that everybody says, oh, well, it's meant to be hard. I don't know if it's meant to be anything. It was just kind of made up years ago to go over this. And at one point, the Triple Crown horses would race in between the Triple Crown. So that was much harder. But the thing is, if they extended it, I don't know if it would become any easier. It might become harder because I think more horses would be attracted to go from the Derby to the Preakness and the Preakness to the Belmont. So I can get both parts of the argument.
I get both sides too, but after this year, I'm leaning toward, and I've said all along, and I've probably written this more than once, that I'm a traditionalist and the whole supposed to be hard. You know what? If they extend the schedule by another 2 weeks and space it a little more, it's still going to be really, really hard and worthy of the Triple Crown label. The thing is, you want the best horses to run in these races, and if it's prohibitive for people because of the 2 weeks, then it really needs to be examined. The other factor here is you're dealing with two different broadcast partners that have to be on board with this. So I think they should do it. I just don't really see it happening because it's going to take too much collaboration between competing entities. It was one of the bugaboos about racing is that there's no central body and there's no main administrative entity. everybody's sort of in their own fiefdom and going after their own self-serving interests. So I think they should extend it. They should, move the Preakness back a week, move the Belmont back a week or two, whatever. But to make it happen, I'm not seeing it because I just don't think, that the collaboration will happen.
I can see Maryland doing it. I think it's tougher because I think it kind of affects the New York summer schedule if you do that. And so I think New York.
Yeah, and Maryland was, in fact, looking at it last year and had dropped a little bit of a bomb saying we're thinking about moving the Preakness back a week. And at the time, the Irish position was, go ahead and do it. We're not moving the Belmont. Yeah. And I think that kind of gives you a good indication of how difficult it would be to pull off.
Yeah. Let's take a look at some of the other action on the weekend and storylines involved. And the Churchill Downs Mindframe looked pretty good. Mindframe and Fierceness on the weekend added their names to that 4-year-old division that is really making the older division very interesting this year. And so we're taking a look here at the Churchill Downs. It'll be Mindframe with just a crazy late run. You can see the number 7 Chicklet there coming from the back under Irad Ortiz. But Mindframe and Fierceness maybe took a little sting out of the weekend, with the late scratch in the Derby for Mike Rapoli. It is Mike Rapoli and Todd Fletcher here with Mindframe. And as I say, it was a mixed weekend for the commish, Mike Rapoli.
Yeah, he kind of had a little bit of a roller coaster and tempered a little bit by, Fierceness. I tell you, after last year when the older male dirt division was just like nobody wants it, and it was just, I think I probably spent a half an hour trying to pick my Eclipse winner. This year, the older male dirt division looked dynamite, and Derby weekend certainly reinforced that. Fierceness broke the track record at Churchill for 1 mile and 1/16, went a minute 40 and 66, and Mindframe showed up. So it really kind of solidified the belief that the older male dirt division is going to be very interesting to watch this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's played out that way since the start of the year with the 3-year-olds who about this time last year to me were undefined and then started to get together the summer and the late portion of the year. But as they become 4-year-olds and started now, this older division is going to be a lot of fun. No question about it. Wanted to touch on a couple others on Friday. Cherie DeVoe, man, she is the last couple of years for her, she has really gotten the career moving forward. And it's been partly to horses like this on Friday in the Modesty. She feels pretty, gets it done. Nice 96 buyer. And she feels pretty, will be the number 7 horse here as the favorite. Looking pretty good, getting it done under John Velasquez. So again, and some more nice stories on the weekend with Cherie DeVoe getting a big stakes win on Friday, and John Velasquez continuing just a career that will not stop.
Yeah, Cherie DeVoe, I talked to her at the beginning of the Saratoga meet last year because if you recall, she had a big Derby weekend. Bava, I think, won the sprint race, and then she came back and won a couple stakes on Preakness weekend, including the Pimlico Special. And so I kind of asked her at the beginning of the Saratoga meet, is this a breakout year for her? And she said, no, I mean, we've been kind of pretty good the last few years. She's got a nice setup with that ownership group with her husband, David and Gordo, who's picking out horses for the stable. And so she really has gained momentum the last couple of years. And based on She Feels Pretty, it looks like she's going to keep it going this year.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, a local product, as it were. Wanted to touch on, first I'll ask you, but I'm going to roll it into the 8 Bells, which was the disappointment of the weekend, obviously, with the last place finish from Torpedo Anna. We'll take a look at that. It will be Raging Sea. It gets it done. And that was the horse that I thought was certainly, if there was going to be a little bit of not the 8 Bells, the La Troya, that was going to be the contender if Torpedo Anna didn't get it done. So again, this is watching the La Troyenne. Raging Sea gets it done. Torpedo Anna runs last. And I was going to frame this in, I think overall, it was really a great weekend of racing. You had an off track, but you didn't get any of the crazy results that sometimes come from that. I think you had very satisfying results that are going to play into the various divisions as we get later into the spring, into the summer, certainly up at Saratoga. So it was a really good weekend, other than the one disappointment was the last place finish from Torpedo Anna. Was there a sense of that in the building after this race?
Yeah, I didn't hear a single person complain about or use the track condition as an excuse all weekend, including Kenny McPeak with Torpedo Anna. But that's clearly the fly in the ointment of the whole weekend, was her coming in last at 7 in the La Troyenne. I had kind of predicted before the race that we might see another Malachi crunch from the two Chad Browns, randomized in Raging Sea. Like what happened to Idiomatic last year. And it did actually kind of play that way out, but I wasn't expecting Torpedo. I wasn't surprised she got beat. I was surprised she ran so poorly and just kind of backed up. They checked her out. They sent her up to Larry Bramlage to do the whole full battery of diagnostics and found nothing. She looked fine after the race, from a visual inspection. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm not sure what they're going to try to do with her next, but clearly that was one of the most highly anticipated, outside of the Derby and the Oaks, that was the most highly anticipated race of the weekend, and she just bombed out, and nobody knows why.
Yeah, interested to hear as this moves along what Kenny McPeak says and what the game plan will be with her. Flip side of that for Kenny, and I'll talk with Matt Dinerman about this a little bit. Mystic Dan looked pretty good. That may get overlooked on the weekend. Mystic Dan had a nice little rebound down at Oaklawn last Saturday.
Right.
So
just got beat in the nose by Saudi Crown, another older horse that you want to see be part of the picture too. So yeah, that was kind of like in the outskirts of the racing world, but I was paying attention to that too, and it was encouraging because Mystic Dan just kind of fell off the map last year and opening the door for Torpedo Anna to run in the Travers, because he didn't want to run his Derby winner against his Oaks winner against each other. But he just kind of never got back in the picture, though. So to see him, run like that against a good horse, Saudi Crown, that was encouraging.
Yeah, it was a nice rebound, certainly. And I think I saw that on Twitter last couple of days, I think at Churchill now for Mystic Dan. So we'll see what's next for him.
Right.
Also curious, over the weekend, what was the attendance like in the press box? And with a couple of Japanese horses, was there a big presence from Japan?
There was, and they were sitting at the table right next to Gino and I. So, I mean, it was the usual suspects, and it was we kind of noted that some of the bigger newspapers that are in the area were no shows, like Cincinnati. That's a pretty quick, easy drive down from Cincinnati. So, I mean, it was a lot of the usual suspects. It's always a mob scene there. People are kind of crawling over each other to get into their chairs. And there was a pretty significant Japanese presence there, as you would expect. And they had to be disappointed. Their horses didn't really run at all in the Derby, and they had two of them this year. So after Forever Young last year, he kind of, there was a point a couple of weeks before the Derby where I was like, man, am I going to pick Luxor Cafe on top just because of the Japanese trend? And then I kind of bailed at the last minute. I'm glad I did. But they had a significant presence in the press room, that's for sure.
Yeah, very good. I liked Luxor. Okay, I had bottom of my mix, but I had them in the mix, and they were both a little bit disappointing. They were not Forever Young. That is certainly the case. Mike, appreciate the visit, and you headed to Baltimore next weekend?
I am. I'll be driving down on Thursday. I'll be at the Barns on Friday morning, and so I'll have live columns on Friday and Saturday next week.
All right, and people can check out your Twitter feed as well, where you keep up with things, and maybe we'll check in with you sometime after the Preakness as well. But if not, then certainly sooner rather than later up at Saratoga. Looking forward.
It's coming.
Yeah, there we go. Mike, again, appreciate the visit, and as I say, we'll talk sooner rather than later.
All right, thanks a million, Seth.
Yeah, no problem.
Good talking to you.
You too. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll do some news and notes. We have Matt Dinerman just a little after the bottom of the hour. I scheduled him a little bit later on. Kim Weir, again, we all have a few minutes. Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga, part of a national effort, Mental Health Awareness Month. So we'll hit on that. They have a couple of events coming up. One today that might be of interest to folks. So we'll talk all of that coming up when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Time now for the Dark Horse Play of the Day, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both in downtown Saratoga, right on Broadway, a couple blocks away and opposite sides of the street. I always say swing by, certainly with the racing season coming up, put it on your agenda if you're headed up. But just in the meantime, if you head up to Saratoga for a day out or an evening out, they're usually open a little bit later, but you can go grab some dinner or stop before dinner. Both of them. You'll browse around. You will definitely see some things of interest and highly recommended. So thanks again to the folks at the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga for sponsoring the Dark Horse Play of the Day, which hit yesterday. Both of our plays. We have the Capital OTB Bet Play of the Day and the Dark Horse Play of the Day. They both hit yesterday. We'll try to keep it going. Our wager of the day. We got run down in the first leg of pick 3. We had a 13-1 shot. It looked pretty good about the 16th pole, and then you could see the horse on the outside had momentum at 18-1. We didn't have that one on the ticket. Then we won the next 2 legs. It was just a little bit disappointing. But the plays won, the actual single horses. So we'll see what we can do today with our Dark Horse Play of the Day, and we'll go to the feature at Belmont at the Big A. Race number 11 today is the Peter Pan, 1.8 for 3-year-olds, some of which may wind up in the Belmont. This has panned out to be oftentimes a prep for the Belmont Stakes. I have this race 6, 8, 5, and 4, and we'll make the Dark Horse Play number 6 Uncaged. Todd Pletcher trainee, Windstar, Mike Rapoli and company. They paid $450,000 for this horse as a yearling, and lived up to that promise in the debut last year at Saratoga. Debuted on August 3rd, won pretty nicely at 5-1. Then lays off and comes back as a 3-year-old debut March 2nd at Gulfstream, and runs kind of a disappointing 4th there as the 3-5 favorite. Maybe just needed that race, because then comes back up to Aqueduct and wins nicely in the second start of the career. So we have 2 nice wins, bookending a little bit of a disappointment off a layoff. But also notable that the win last time at Aqueduct was on a muddy track. I would expect the track that was off yesterday. I would think the track stands a very good chance of being off or at least wet again today. So the off-track win last time is a bonus. Now, there are others in here with more experience and stakes experience, most notably maybe Captain Cook, who won the Withers nicely and then was the beaten favorite in the Wood. Captain Cook's going to take a lot of action. Hill Road for Chad Brown and company. McAfee is intriguing. And again, these are horses that are maybe a little more battle tested, but also have some stakes experience. I think Uncaged may have a nice future. So stakes debut, but I think has a chance to get it done. Pletcher, Rapoli, Windstar and company. Kendrick Carmouche, who was on board for the win last time, a win over an off-track. Our Dark Horse Play of the Day for Saturday. Race number 11, Belmont at the Big A. Horse number 6, Uncaged. Let me hit you on the promos and events that are coming up. There's a Preakness Syndicate next weekend, and entries are currently open. You can go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link at the top of the page, and look for that graphic right there. Click on that, and you can get your chance to be in the syndicate. There's a $25 buy-in. It eventually will be amongst the players, and then Capital OTB putting in a chunk of money, $1,500. There'll be a pick 5 play on Preakness Day, and then some hefty exactas as well on the Preakness itself. And what happens is you'll get the chance to put your picks in, and a consensus is formed amongst the team. So for a reasonable amount of money, you get into a nice kind of whale-sized set of tickets for Preakness Day. Syndicates are a lot of fun, and your chance is available now at capitalotb.com. Don't forget, if you'd like to come down to the Clubhouse Racebook today, King of the Hill contest returns. That gives you a chance at a little extra fun. And again, that's today right here at the Clubhouse Racebook, the King of the Hill, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And we would love to have you join us tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be live on the road at the Saratoga Harness Raceway. And again, we'll be up in the grandstand area. Come by, say hello, enjoy a day at the races tomorrow. And from what I've heard weather-wise, I think it's supposed to turn around and be a very nice Mother's Day tomorrow. So keep that in mind for tomorrow afternoon. Stop by and enjoy a day at the races. And as I say, come over and say hello. OTB live on the road from Saratoga Harness. All right, that catches you up and gives you your dark horse play of the day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll take a break. When we come back, Matt Dinerman. It's opening day at Monmouth. Quick turnaround for Matt. He just wrapped things up at Oaklawn, packed up, came up to New Jersey, unpacked, and he wrapped it up at Oaklawn. He'll kick it off today at Monmouth Park. So we'll kind of set up the meet, maybe take a look at today's stakes race as well with Matt Dinerman right after this. Stay tuned. It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at capitalotb.com or capitalotbbet.com and claim your free money.
Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer: wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com. Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by Matt Dinerman, about to kick off his stint throughout the summer in the booth at Monmouth after last weekend wrapping up the stint down at Oaklawn. And Matt, I looked at your Twitter feed and I saw you packed up all the ducks last weekend, but you've got them all set up in the booth for the kickoff at Monmouth this afternoon.
Hi, Seth. Good to be on with you this morning. Good morning to you and all the listeners out there. Yeah, we got the ducks all ready to go. They're all in a row, pun intended, and we are ready to rumble here at Monmouth Park. Really just a long drive from Arkansas to New Jersey. Stopped in Kentucky at a friend's house, got to catch up with him, and then continued on down the way. And, when one door opens in the season, another one closes and vice versa. So, we finished Oaklawn strong, had a great meet there. And we're really excited to have a great meet here in the Jersey Shore.
And before we get to Monmouth, I talked to you, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago as the meet was wrapping up at Oaklawn, but I just wanted to go back a little bit to last weekend because I mentioned it earlier in the show. We were talking Derby with Mike MacAdam, and I mentioned, boy, it might get overlooked. And I got Matt coming up. I'll ask him about it because I told the guys in the control room, pull up the stretch run. Last stakes of the season, Derby Day, because it was Derby Day, it might get overlooked. But Mystic Dan put in a nice rebound last Saturday down at Oaklawn. Close up, it was a ding-dong battle between Mystic Dan and Saudi Crown. Saudi Crown ends up with the victory. But you have to appreciate, as I say, it looks like Mystic Dan got back on the rail.
He did, and I'm glad that you mentioned this race because I think this was one of the best races of the meet, really, just timing-wise. A little bit unfortunate, for lack of a better term, that it was around 15 minutes right after they hit the finish in the Kentucky Derby, so it did probably get overlooked a little bit. Mystic Dan, there are workouts on Oaklawn.com. We had them all season, and Mystic Dan was featured on there in a workout, and he looked terrific. So watching that workout, I figured, he's working like he's ready to run a good race and that there's still something in the tank. And Saudi Crown's a really nice horse and really got everything his own way on the lead, and Mystic Dan still almost beat him. So they both got a 101 buyer for their efforts, and it was a really good stretch run. And it was great to see two horses thrown it down like that, one of the better races of the meet. And I would say that even though it was a minor stakes race in terms of quality, those two certainly graded stakes horses. And it was just a really good thing to see Mystic Dan and back to good form. And actually, the crowd cheered for him multiple times and actually cheered for them when they came back just to display their appreciation.
And I say it all the time, in that fashion, in many fashions, Oaklawn is very similar to Saratoga, and it's fun up at Saratoga to hear. The crowd is so knowledgeable about the game, and to get that kind of response to performances and horses like that is always a lot of fun. But it was nice to see Mystic Dan rebound, and I didn't want to let that get away, get covered up by Derby Day last week. And I also wanted to touch on one other Oaklawn thing. Last race of the meet, 1 3/4, the trails end. And I know Marshall Graham likes to win. I saw you had a horse in this year that ran third, so unfortunately he didn't get the win. But I wanted to ask you, do you have to kind of get geared up for a 3-minute race call?
Well, it's definitely a harder race to call in that respect. The good news is there's never 5 or 6 horses in it all. There's always 12 to 14, which makes my job actually a little bit easier because it keeps you going and there's no dead air. You really get to go through everybody a few different times. So, yeah, definitely got to take a deep breath before you give it a go and make sure that you got your oxygen level ready. But it's always a fun race. And even in the post parade, what they'll do is the ponies and the horses that are in the race will turn to the crowd and salute the crowd, and the crowd will cheer and salute back. So it's just a great tradition to end the meet every year at Oaklawn. And I think for a lot of people, and speaking of that, another race, just one of the more fun races for me to call. I love the Trails End.
And it is a lot of fun. The way to kind of put a little exclamation point on the meet, no question about it. All right, let's shift our attention on to New Jersey. You wrapped up Oaklawn. Great job, by the way, down there. I told you the last time I talked to you, I enjoy the pregame show with you and Nancy. You got a good rapport, and it's always fun and entertaining and informative. So good job, Oaklawn. But now we kick off Monmouth. Give us a little setup. We got a 50-day meet. You got the Haskell coming up on July 25th. And the Haskell every year. It was Dornoch last year, but I pulled up the list of Haskell winners over the years. Just recently, Cyberknife, Mandaloon, Authentic, Good Magic, American Pharaoh. You go back a little further, War Emblem, Peace Rules, Point Given. Again, highlight of the meet coming up on July 25th. But set us up as we're ready to kick off Monmouth for 2025.
Yeah, we've got a really fun meet. Of course, the Haskell, the headliner, and as you reference to, just a lot of super horses that run in that race every year, and we're looking for that to continue this year. 50-day meet, first post 12:50 each day, except on Fridays. Our first post will be 2 o'clock. Now, the first 5 weeks here, we're going to run 2 days a week. Then we'll go to the Friday through Sunday schedule, and we won't run through mid-September. Haskell Day in the middle of July once again this year, Saturday, July 20th. That's our big day. Of course, Haskell Preview Day, the day before Father's Day. That's always a big day for us. Just a really good card there. And we're expecting a really fun season. Monmouth's a beautiful track. They do a great job promoting and marketing the track. Every week they've got festivals going on. The on-track presence is very strong every year. So we're just really excited and expecting a really fun meet here at the 50-day season. Really has turned into a boutique meet, and that's what's really made it special is there's only so many race days here at Monmouth. It's really turned into a Del Mar type of meet.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun for us to watch and wager. You have great turf racing down there. Talk a little bit about the crowd that shows up, because again, it is a kind of a boutique meet, which I think lends itself to bigger crowds. And also on track, is there still a fixed odd wagering?
Yeah, so we've got fixed odds on track. You can bet on track and you get fixed odds there in an own separate pool, which is a really nice thing to be able to experience, especially nowadays where there's a lot of complaints about just late odds switches. That does not occur when you get fixed odds. If you've got a horse at 5-1 that you like and you play him at 5-1, and in the race they're off at 5-2, you get those 5-1 odds. So that's a really cool thing that Monmouth offers, and I believe someone else just implemented them, or they're going to. But if that's the case, just 2 tracks in America that do that offer those types of bets, and Monmouth certainly one of them.
Yeah, and as I say, it's fun to watch with the turf racing and whatnot. Speaking of that, what's your weather look like today?
So luckily, we've got a beautiful day in store for us. A little bit on the windy side, but it's sunny, blue skies. The same will be said for tomorrow. We are off the turf today. We got a good amount of rain yesterday, but our turf course is actually one of the more faster drying turf courses in the country. With that in mind, I think tomorrow, if things stay the way they are, and especially because of that wind, that's going to really help dry things out. I am very confident tomorrow we'll be on the turf, and we got some good turf races in store tomorrow. So we're off the turf today, and I don't know what the track condition is right now. I would imagine it's probably muddy to good. And that could change over the course of the day. We did get a good amount of rain here yesterday, but that's the situation. And we're expecting really good crowds the first 2 days, especially Mother's Day tomorrow.
Oh, right. Mother's Day. A lot of tracks around the country, Mother's Day is a thing, which I always find a little bit funny. But Mother's Day has become a real destination racetrack kind of a thing. And I know that's true at Monmouth as well.
Very much so. And Father's Day, believe it or not, is even bigger than Mother's Day. It's just turned into a tradition. Father's Day pretty much every year is the second largest on-track crowd other than the Haskell Day. So with that in mind, these are special holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter's a big day when tracks do run. So those holidays, people really do come out. And that's one great thing about Monmouth. Very family-friendly atmosphere. They really promote that in our marketing department. Brian Skrecko, who runs it, does a great job. And that's one of the reasons why Monmouth's so much fun, because you get families of all ages, people of all ages enjoying the track in their own way.
And I'm glad you brought up Brian, because that reminded me. Brian does a great job. He's one of the better guys at this in the country. Monmouth has a really great schedule of contests that play into NHC and BCBC, and Brian does a great job with that really all year long, but during the Monmouth season as well with the contest play.
Absolutely. And we got plenty of contests. We got one today, actually. Our handicapping contest, which qualified for the NHC. A Haskell Day, obviously a very big contest there. We'll have a contest on Haskell Preview Day. So I encourage all racetracks to do that. I mean, it's great just to promote your track, and you're going to get some extra handle out of it. And usually those contests, if you're going to have players playing, not only the contest races, they're going to be taking some more money and playing other bets and sequences during the day. So we're expecting a lot of opportunities for contest players to punch their ticket to the MAC and win some money all throughout the season here.
Yeah, Brian does a great job, Brian Skirka down there. All right, let's jump in and take a look at today's feature race, the Long Branch. These are 3-year-olds going 1 mile and 70. Cool Intentions comes out of, back of the pack finish in the Florida Derby, but maybe is a little bit interesting moving up here. Happily Delusional. Love that name. Comes in off of some decent tries recently number-wise. He's cross-centered over in New York. Lordship, it's Chad Brown off a debut winner down at Tampa. He also is cross-entered, however. Butch Reed, who I believe just hit a career milestone recently, has Baby Dukes. But I pulled up a replay of Pascaline, couple starts back, winning the Laurel Futurity. This was back in September. Laid off from that start until a return April at Aqueduct and ran third in the Bayshore in the 3-year-old debut. But with that 3-year-old debut under the belt and looking at this race in the Laurel Futurity, Pascaline, or as I say, Pascaline, I'm not sure. I'll defer to you there, but might be the one to beat in here. What are your thoughts in the Long Branch?
Well, I think it's a competitive race. I think you really went over all the main contenders there, and I would be hard-pressed to find a single here. What's really a fun thing about this race is that these horses are all sort of late developing types of horses, either that or just horses that aren't quite fitting the bill to run in the major stakes races, but are hoping to maybe get a win and can improve as they get longer in the season here. So it makes for a really good handicapping puzzle, and that's why it's a pretty tough race. I picked Lordship on top. I think this horse last time out, he went to Tampa for Chad Brown. Sometimes Chad doesn't always send his best horses there, but he also runs horses there that maybe he thinks are late bloomers. And I think it's a really confident sign that he doesn't put this horse in a first-level allowance. He tries him in a stake right away. There will be plenty of first-level allowances he could run this horse in, but he opts to run this horse here in a stake. And who knows? This is a good prep race for the Haskell in a couple months, and maybe he thinks this horse is maybe that type of quality. If he can get there, he's going to have to improve, obviously, to run against that competition. Comes off a better-than-looked, I thought, win against Maiden Company. Didn't break all that well, still won at Tampa Bay. This is a tougher task, but he's a well-bred horse. Chad Brown, he's as good as anyone at managing horses, so I'm going to pick him on top. But I would say Pascaline off that third place finish in the Bayshore, ran well off the layoff, getting to 2 turns today. I would imagine that second start off the layoff, and based on who he ran against and what race he comes out of, that he is the horse to beat. But it's a very contentious race. I picked probably 5 or 6 horses out of the 8 that could win there.
Yeah, it's a fun race today at Monmouth. It'll be race number 9. I'll also mention tomorrow the Serena Song, and I mentioned that because Power Squeeze gets back in against the girls, having won the Alabama last year, but tried the boys last time in the Go Sapper and ran an okay second to White Barrio on Florida Derby weekend. So Power Squeeze comes back in the Serena Song tomorrow. And you mentioned Lordship. Sammy Camacho is on board down at Tampa, scheduled to be back on board again today. And I pulled up the results from last year on the human side of things. And Sammy Camacho wound up 4th in the meet. Paco Lopez was the leading jock. He'll be back again, as I understand it. Claudio Gonzalez, the leading trainer, he'll be back a little further down the list. I'm a big Mike Deeney fan all winter long down at Tampa. He summers up at Monmouth Park. So plenty of familiar names on the jock and trainer side this season.
Absolutely, and we've got a few new riders as well. Chantal Sutherland is going to summer here. Of course, we all know Chantal.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, she'll be here all summer. I actually saw her yesterday at the track, and she was really enthusiastic to be here. Jairo Barbosa, he is a new jockey to the colony that's had some decent success at Laurel Park. He wintered at the fairgrounds. He's got some ability, a very nice rider, I think, a younger rider. So all things considered, we have got a good, strong jockey colony, and the trainer colony, we've got a couple new faces as well. So always really exciting. And I know a lot of folks here at Monmouth, you see them coming back year after year because they really enjoy summering here.
Yeah, and typically Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher have a string down there. And then they show up at Saratoga and people are like, well, that was the second string if they were down in Monmouth. And I was like, no. It's not the second string. Trust me, they'll run fine up at Saratoga. Matt, we, as always, appreciate the conversation. I wish you and everybody a lot of luck and have a lot of fun today and going into the Monmouth season. Certainly we'll talk again. And as always, you're invited to shoot me a text if you get up to Saratoga during the summer. We'd love to have you sit in with us on the backstretch when we're live every morning.
Sounds like a great plan, Seth. I'll let you know. And, I'm hoping to make it up there this year. So it should be a fun meet. Thanks for having me on, and good luck to everybody playing along with us today.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Matt Dinerman, announcer down at Monmouth Park, as they are ready to kick off the 2025 season this afternoon. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on it, wrap things up. Do have Kim Weir as our last guest. A few minutes talking about Mental Health Awareness Month. Kim's with Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga, and during the month, there's a kind of a national effort to raise the awareness of how horses can play into the therapy of people. So we'll talk a little bit about that. They have some events coming up locally as well. All of that when we come back. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we're joined now by Kim Weir from Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. Wanted to get her on because they have some events coming up, including tonight, but also throughout the month, May, Mental Health Awareness Month. And there's a national effort talking about how horses play into the therapy of humans. And that's what Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga is all about. So they're one of the organizations that is involved in this national effort. So I thought we'd get Kim on to talk a little bit about that. Kim, good morning.
Well, good morning, Seth. It is so nice to be with you on this springy Saturday in May.
Absolutely. We would like a little more springy, though. I guess tomorrow the sun is set to come out. And once again, we invite people to join us tomorrow. We'll be live from Saratoga Harness. So swing on over. That includes you, Kim. Stop by and say hello over at the harness track tomorrow afternoon. Oh, and speaking of that, I was going to say bring Bob over, your husband. But I was watching a couple of months ago and I believe you were out there with them. Bob was playing in the NHC. For folks who don't know, I think we've mentioned it before, your husband makes Beyer figures, one of the Beyer figure makers that folks can find in the forum. But you guys were out there for the National Handicapping Championship.
We sure were. That was our third time, but it's been a few years since we've been out there, and we had a great time. A whole lot of handicappers grinding it out, and it was fun to be a part of it. Yeah, we look forward to doing it again next year.
It's always fun. It's I always say it's like a horse players convention. You're out there, and people are competitive, but it's a really friendly atmosphere. We went out and covered it a couple of years. I'd love to get back. Well, I'd love to get back out there again as a player.
And play in it. That's the way to go. Yes, that is the way to go.
No question about it. All right, let's talk a little bit about people can find out more about this on the Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga website. I think we have a graphic there. There you go, thsaratoga.org. You can find more information. But there's an effort called Seen Through Horses that in this May Mental Health Awareness Month, there is a national effort to raise the awareness of therapy via horses. And obviously Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga knows all about that. So you're one of the organizations involved in this national effort. Fill us in on the effort and what might be happening locally that people can get involved in as well.
Yeah, well, thank you, Seth. No, you get it, and we appreciate that. We at Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga first love horses, as I think everyone watching your show this morning does too. But we also have the really unique gift of seeing how powerfully they impact people who experience them one-on-one directly, like eyeball to eyeball. Every day that's happening at our farm, whether it be field trips from kids or corporate groups or veterans coming to do therapy. Horses make people feel better. It's just a thing that happens. The really wonderful thing about this campaign, the Seen Through Horses, is that it's designed to explain the how that happens. Because people like me are drinking the Kool-Aid, and I can rattle on about it all day long. And you often let me rattle about it all day long. But this campaign is not designed by us at Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. It's designed by an organization called, fittingly, Horses for Mental Health. It's a very descriptive name. And they're trying to help people like us and organizations like ours explain the how it works. What is it about a horse that makes a person feel better? Winston Churchill said it all those years ago, the outside of the horse is good for the inside of a man. And we can hear that all day long, but this campaign's really trying to kind of crack the nut of how does that really work? So they do that through creating a variety of forums. They create some great social media posts. I encourage folks to follow our page where we're sharing videos that really give you a visual of how it works, how horses bring our heart rates down, how horses perceive our emotions and reflect them back, all kinds of cool stuff. So this campaign is doing that all month long, but it's doing that with a goal of pointing back to organizations in everyone's community, wherever they live across the United States, that are giving an opportunity to experience it. And that's what we do at THS, is to give that experience to people. So we are honored to be one of 95 organizations across the U.S., including one in Canada and one in Ireland, I think.
Ooh.
And we've been selected to be a part of it. So that's how it starts.
You also have, I'm looking at the moment at the webpage on your website, you've got some local ambassadors. Our friends at Impressions and Dark Horse are involved, Crafters Gallery and Henry Street Tap Room and whatnot. But talk a little bit about events that are coming up. As they say, other people, people who are watching may want to get involved in those.
Yeah, that's the cool thing, is we get to bring it home. So folks like Impressions and Dark Horse have our ambassador poster proudly in their windows, so folks can click on a QR code and learn about the campaign. They can give if they want to. Other folks like Saratoga Winery, which we love those folks, they're doing $1 off of every Talk Derby to Me cocktail in the month of May, which is very fitting for the month of May. Folks like Kindred and Henry Street are going to do an impact night for us, where one night they're going to give 10% of their bar bill to us. So we do encourage folks to look at that page on our website that you've probably kindly pulled up, which just has all the local stuff happening. And then tonight, which I think I'll get to see you tonight, we're actually all gathering in person at the Principessa Elena. This is a free event to gather, to learn about the campaign, and to actually watch a sneak peek of a documentary all about how horses help with mental health. That will air at 6:00 tonight at Principessa. If anyone's in town, please come by.
And yes, I will be there. I said to you as we were in the commercial break, I may be a little late because I have to be here doing TV. I got to get the job done, but I will head up immediately after that and look forward to stopping by. And again, Principessa is right up in Saratoga, right around the corner from Dave Harmon's place. Folks are familiar with that. Not too far off of Broadway, easy to find, and certainly recommended. Come by and say hello, because it's always fun to have an event in Saratoga with like-minded people.
Exactly. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting me tell everybody a little bit about it.
No, looking forward to it. And as I say, folks can go to the website and learn more about this. And there will be dates announced, I'm sure, for those impact nights at the various local establishments as well.
Yep, exactly. It's a good month of talking horses, which it pretty much is already. And we're just adding our voice.
And certainly we'll get you in when the meet starts as well, and do another little showing of some of the video from out there. And I have visited a couple of times, and you do good work out there, obviously. And it was fun, my visits to videotape some horses and what. Oh, and also my 2 visits, I got to see the barn going up and the barn done. The group of Amish who are like amazing barn constructors.
Oh yeah, and we are getting a lot of mileage out of that barn.
I'm sure.
because of this rain. It's wonderful to have an indoor space, which means we can keep doing our good work all weather long, all winter long, and all rainy day long.
Kim, appreciate the visit. And again, great work by you guys and great work by the national organization kind of emphasizing this because, it's important work that gets done. And, during May Mental Health Awareness Month, what better time to kind of focus on it. So again, folks want to stop by tonight, Principessa Elena in Saratoga. They can watch the video as well and learn more about the efforts with horses and therapy and horses and humans and how it impacts in a positive fashion. But as I say, Kim, appreciate the visit. We'll talk again. We'll talk tonight, but we'll talk again on TV, actually sooner rather than later with Saratoga right around the corner.
Can't wait. Thank you, Seth. It's great chatting with you. We'll see you this evening.
All right, Kim Weir from Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. And again, that event comes up tonight. As I say, you can learn more by visiting the website, thsaratoga.org. And there's an events link right at the top. You click on that, boom, very easy. Let me once again remind you before we wrap up, Preakness Syndicate is open. The entries are open. So go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link, look for that graphic right there. Click on that. You can fill out an entry form and get your chance to be on the Preakness Syndicate team. Should be a lot of fun. Today here at the Clubhouse Racebook King of the Hill contest. Come on down and enjoy a little extra fun here at the Clubhouse Racebook on this Saturday afternoon. King of the Hill, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And once again, I alert you that tomorrow we will be on the road at Saratoga Harness with OTB Live throughout the afternoon. And as I say, as I understand, it's going to be a really nice day. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll be up in the grandstand, but come up, say hello, and enjoy a day at the races at the harness track. If you can't make it, join us throughout the afternoon right here on OTB TV. All right, Seth Merrow on a Saturday morning, wrapping it up for Racing Across America. We'll be back for OTB Live Saturday afternoon. I'm going to look at a little Belmont at Aqueduct and a little Churchill for today. We'll also have plenty of other good action. Monmouth's on the schedule for us today, yes? Yeah, just checking with the control room. So, we will watch that opening day of Monmouth. So that should be fun as well. So, again, it's probably an hour and a half or so. I'll be back to take a look at the early races and take you throughout the afternoon. Should be a fun Saturday afternoon. So looking forward to your joining us throughout. And hopefully we'll toss out some money and toss out some ideas and I'll make a little bit of money. That'll certainly be the game plan for a Saturday afternoon. But I hope you enjoyed Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I appreciate your tuning in. As I say, back in about an hour and a half. So we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Offtrack Betting.